Okay, so we're just going to go through this little Sh'MiYNiY ATzaReT study. This is the eighth day, called the eighth day, the eighth great day, and follows the 7 days of Sukkot. So it is the last fall feast that's mentioned in Leviticus 23. All right, so the king's invitation is to linger. I would change that to sovereign. I haven't edited this at all, but the sovereign's invitation to linger. On the eighth day, you have an assembly. You do no servile work, and that's Leviticus 23, verse 36. After the 7 days of Sukkot, a time of rejoicing, harvest, and dwelling in temporary shelters, YaHuWaH calls for one more day. Sh'MiYNiY ATzaReT, the eighth day assembly. The word Atzeret comes from the Hebrew root atzar, meaning to stop, to hold back, or to gather in. It's as though YaHuWaH says to his people, do not hurry away, remain with me a little longer. The ancient sages pictured a loving sovereign who feasted joyfully with his children for 7 days. When the feast ended and they prepared to depart, the sovereign's heart longed for them. And he said, stay with me one more day, for it is hard for me to see you go. Thus, Sh'MiYNiY ATzaReT is not about ritual labor, but about relationship. YaHuWaH desiring his people's presence. So there's not like extra do this and do that, and you got to do this and you got to do that. It's just about staying in relationship. I think it's sort of interesting. I heard today that in the United States, there is a resistance movement against opposing a king's mentality. And here we have the sovereign of the world saying, stay with me and just, I don't want to let you go. And you're not going to be back for a year and just stay a little longer. And I just thought it was sort of interesting. We have one group that's protesting a king. And here we have a sovereign seeking for more relationship. So relationship, not control, The prophetic meaning of 8. So this is the 8th day. It's considered the 8th. Throughout scripture, the number 8 symbolizes renewal and new beginnings, a step beyond the completed cycle of 7. Circumcision took place on the 8th day, making a new covenant high. Yahushua rose on the first day after the 7th, the 8th, beginning the new creation. So sort of interesting. Likewise, Sh'MiYNiY ATzaReT comes after 7 days of Sukkot, which represent the 7,000 years of mankind's journey. We've all heard about the 7,000 years. 6 millennia of labor and the 7th of rest, the millennial reign of Mashiach. The 8th day points beyond time itself into the everlasting dwelling with YaHuWaH. It speaks of the Olam Haba, the world to come, when he wipes away every tear and his people abide in eternal peace. It's almost the last chapter of the scriptures there. Sh'MiYNiY ATzaReT in the Yobel, or the Jubilee. The Yobel was announced after 7 cycles of 7 years, 49 years, and sanctified on Yom HaKippurim. It was a time of release, restoration, and return. Slaves were set free, debts canceled, and every family returned to its inheritance. And we have an inheritance over in Israel land, over in that area. Every family has an inheritance over there. This foreshadows every family of YaHuWaH's people. This foreshadows the ultimate restoration when YaHuWaH will proclaim liberty throughout all the earth. So there's an ultimate restoration. Just as the Yobel begins after 7/7, Sh'MiYNiY ATzaReT follows the 7 days of Sukkot, the pattern of completion leading into renewal. As we look toward the Yobel announcement on Yom HaKippurim 2028, and it's beginning at Abib 2029, and this is the first month of the year in the spring, not on January 1st. So as we look forward to this Yobel announcement on the Yom HaKippurim, that's in the 7th month, 2028, so around September-ish, and it's beginning in the spring 2029, we see how Sh'MiYNiY ATzaReT mirrors that same release. It whispers of the day when YaHuWaH says, my people, the time of bondage is ended. The inheritance is restored. And boy, if you have seen the times we live in where you feel like the inheritance has been stolen, They have put their hand in every cookie jar, every social security account, every we just heard this amazing story Bonnie was sharing where some believers got an amazing opportunity and gift, and actually even two. And it was just such an amazing story to hear. But mostly what we hear about is the wicked having their hands in the cookie jars all the time. The sundial sign of YaHuWaH and the 2,730-year measure. So one time I asked chat about when do you think the calendar will be restored to the 360 days a year as it was in the beginning. And it brought up this event of the sundial happened to be 2,730 years before 2029. And I was like, what? I never thought about that. We've heard about the 2,730 years, the 2,730-year curse on the 10 northern tribes, beginning with when the tribes were kicked out of the land of Israel in 722 BC. But this was a different thing I'd never heard before. I'm probably going to have to load this page. Moments away. I think I will just pause here. Okay, so the sundial sign of YaHuWaH in the 2,730-year measure. In Isaiah 38, verse 8, it says, see, I'm bringing the shadow on the steps, which has gone down with the sun on the steps of Ahaz, 10 steps backward. In the days of YaHuWaH, when the sovereign of Yehuda was sick and prayed for extended high, YaHuWaH gave him a miraculous sign. The shadow on the sundial of Ahaz moved backward 10 steps. This turning of the sun was not only a wonder to confirm the promise of healing, but a cosmic witness, a moment when time itself seemed to pause and reverse at the word of YaHuWaH. Many have seen in this event a prophetic marker connected to the house of Yasharel, the northern tribes who had already entered the early stages of their scattering. The retreat of the sun's shadow symbolized YaHuWaH's withdrawing of his face from those who had turned away, initiating the long 7 times chastisement spoken of in Vayikra or Leviticus 26. If this sign occurred around 701 BCE, which is what we had always heard, then adding the 2,730 years of that measured period, which is 390 years times 7, reaches approximately 2029 of the Common Era, or 2029 AD. The very threshold of the coming Yobel cycle, the same year that points to renewal, release, and restoration, aligns with the completion of the northern tribes' exile. So that's what we've heard in the past. Thus, the sundial miracle of YaHuWaH, this is Hezekiah, becomes a prophetic clock in the heavens. Wow, I mean, that's just a huge statement there. When the sun turned backward, it set in motion a countdown toward the day when YaHuWaH would once again turn his face toward his scattered ones, calling them out from among the nations and restoring them to the covenant. Okay, now obviously this is what ChatGPT has gathered from the internet information at large. But I had never heard of this before, and I think it's a profound statement that we need to consider and could very well be true. Sh'MiYNiY ATzaReT, the 8th day of dwelling, stands at the end of that cycle, the moment of gathering after chastisement, the dawn after the long shadow has passed. The same Elohim who once reversed the sun now restores the years, inviting his people to remain in his presence forever. So at some point, Velikovsky believes this was around 701 BC. All these civilizations had a 30-day fixed, every 30-day month and 360-day year until this certain event happened. And so it's it is very, very possible that this is that event when the shadow went backward on the sundial. This was that event. Just, I mean, I think it's profound. What do y'all think?
Yeah. I know some people talk about, look, YaHuWaH dented his clock.
Yeah,
There's that terminology used, and yeah. So we can track through Noah, can't we? Through Noah and the flood and the timeline there given that, yeah, it was every month was 30 days and every year was 360 days.
yeah,
So I don't know if, a lot of people understand that, but like you can track that. So it'd be a really good grid to do, wouldn't it? Yeah.
do what, Bonnie?
It'd be a really good, like, visual, like a visual chart to do. What happened with the flood and
Yeah,
the timing of it, and how it was 30-day months and how it was 360-day years.
yeah. We
I
don't
just,
hear about this 2,730-year curse out in the world. This is just among believers.
mm,
It would seem to be that, I mean, who came up with putting this section of Ezekiel? I think it's Ezekiel 4, where he talks about the laying on his side 390 days for the northern house of Israel. Who decided to put that together with Leviticus 26, where it says multiply that curse 7 times if they're still rebellious and they don't return? And yet it happened, and people embraced that, and it made sense. And all of a sudden, there was 2,730 years after 722 BC where people started waking up and saying, I'm Hebrew. I'm supposed to be keeping Torah. YaHuWaH is his name. And on and on. All the different restorations seem to be happening. And some happened before that. I think around 1995. Gail might have been part of that awakening. I can't recall if she said she was. But
Yeah, that
yeah,
was.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
it
this,
was it
go ahead.
was around 98.
98. Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so Monty Judah brought it up on one of his teachings just this week
Hmm.
that that is, we're in exile,
Yeah.
and it's a judgment, and so we got to stay here until the exile is over globally. So it very well could be that Hezekiah's clock in 2029 is the end of the exile
Yeah. That
among
was
the
so
nations,
exciting. So exciting.
and restoring them back to the covenant.
Yeah.
Um, and that could be when the greater exodus happens.
Yeah. I am super excited about all of this. I really am, because it's not that far away. And how many of us have told our kids, these things are coming, these things are coming. I've heard it from both my children and like my mother. Oh, it's a long way. It's a long ways off, It's not happening. It's like, nope, it's happening. You got to be able to see it now.
be ready.
Yeah, so much has happened since 2020 to help wake
And,
people up.
and the geopolitical climate is, this Agenda 2030. There's that as well. It's like there's
Yeah,
something coming.
exactly.
There's a fulfillment of something coming.
It better be that we have restoration. We're not going to make it past that. We don't want that 2030 thing. Uh, bugs for meat and all of that.
Yeah, they're
Okay.
kosher.
Yeah. Shemini, yeah, we need the kosher bugs.
Can we order the kosher bugs, please?
Oh, who was it? Who was it that was saying that in prison, the people that eat the best are the ones that require the kosher diet for religious purposes. They eat better. They eat so much better than the people that don't require it.
It's funny here, you go into like a restaurant, a cafe, that's, oh, look, I'm on a kosher diet. And they go, what? What's that? It's not
Yeah.
even taught in the kitchens here. That's how rare it is. Yeah.
Okay, Sh'MiYNiY ATzaReT, the eighth day of dwelling, stands at the end of that cycle, the moment of gathering after chastisement, the dawn after the long shadow has passed. The long shadow, that'd be an interesting term.
Mm.
The
Mm.
same Elohim who once reversed the sun now restores the years, inviting his people to remain in his presence forever. Yeah, that's what Sh'MiYNiY ATzaReT is about, remaining in his presence. Just take one more day, and it's a rehearsal.
So it's not a command. It's not a, a tyrant king going, you must. It's a loving father sovereign saying, just remain in me and I in you. It's like stay with me. Let's party a bit longer. Let's talk some more. And it's beautiful.
Yeah,
It reminds me of hospitality.
Mm.
Come into my home, come into my dwelling,
Real,
and
real
we
hospitality.
rejoice and we sing and we have fun and and then the guests, they say, well, we got to go, and the host says, no, stay here.
hey,
Stay. I want to entertain you some more. I want you to stay. Don't leave me.
yeah,
I don't want this to be over. Any
And you
great
don't.
thing.
And you
Yeah.
don't. When you're in a fellowship at Sukkot with a lot of believers, you don't want it to end. I mean,
No.
it's in your spirit, not, I don't want to go.
yeah.
You're having such a wonderful time. And, I mean, I've had so many wonderful experiences at Sukkot, even in the rain.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, we can definitely remember them.
The rain
Right
just
here.
makes it fun, and sometimes you get soaked because you've got to prop up a tent a bit more. Or just
Yeah.
Bonnie, what did you stay in?
um, a um, an outfitted container with a bedroom in it.
Oh,
But they have geodesic domes, which reminds me of the Earth sort of idea. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
Just and they're building more cabins, little cabins, one bedroom cabins. Yeah,
I
just
saw
but
a
you can
little,
pitch a tent.
go ahead, Bunny.
You could pitch a tent. There was plenty of
Yeah.
room to just pitch a
Yeah.
tent wherever.
Yeah. I'm sure people did
Mm.
their own stuff. Yeah. It reminds me, I saw a little video this morning where somebody was complaining about the Jews and spelled it Joos, trying to be like trying to avoid picking up any sort of kibosh on their post, I think, but they were talking about some head rabbi or something, and it was a gathering of Jews, and they had at their table this mom Donnie, the candidate for New York mayor or something, and the man was standing up and he was just going on thanking the man for being there and how much he was appreciated being there. Said, and you know what? We found out he's Jewish. So I think he's supposed to be Muslim or something of that nature, uh, communist or something. But anyway, he was going on and on about, his grandmother is Jewish. So, well, what I realized watching this little video, they're sitting there at a table and they've got like the reed stuff up top above them and behind them. And I'm like, he's in their sukkot. He's in their sukkah. He's been invited and he's come and he's participating in some sort of a Sukkot event. And I just thought, well, the person that posted that probably is not aware of that, but we could look at that video and in about 30 seconds, if our mind was with us, we go, oh, they're having a Sukkot event. They're in a sukkah. They decorated it. And it was just very lovely to kind of have that inside information. Karina's left. She called me early. She's a little sweet. She called me earlier and said that her husband was taken off early, and so she could only stay a little bit. But anyway, this isn't a long study. I'll just go ahead and finish it. So we've got the 2030-year curse in view of that leaving the land of Israel, being kicked out of the land because of their idolatry. And they went into exile around 721 722, were scattered among the nations under this 7 times curse, or 7 times as long, 390 years times 7, 7 times is 2,730 years. So counting from 721 BCE brings us to approximately 2009 CE. We usually are 722 BCE. The season when the blindness, so this is the season when the blindness of the northern tribes began to lift, and the awakening to their identity in YaHuWaH's covenant started spreading worldwide. I can tell you absolutely this exact thing happened to me.
Yeah, but you're talking about that in geopolitical terms. There was a massive global financial crisis. Was that year? I'm pretty sure it was.
In 721?
No, it's 2009.
Oh, 2009. That was 2008. Yeah, that was 2008.
Yeah, 2008, 2009. So people got extremely disillusioned with life, full stop, because everything seemed to be crumbling. So the heart cried out to, what now? What I know there were reports of people here out living in the parks and along the walking tracks and things, because they had to, also the great hand your keys in. I can't pay for this house anymore. I can't pay for this car anymore. Yeah.
That was going on in Australia.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. So there was some shifts, right?
It was was it the Great Short or something? The Biggest Short. Go watch that movie. That's I think it had Brad Pitt in it.
I don't recall my awakening having anything to do with what was going on in the world, the finances, the government, none of those things. I just heard him say, they took my own name out of my own book. So that's where my awakening started. I'd already seen his name in Hebrew. Like sometimes you would see it in church. And then I found it in the King James in the forward where it says we exchanged his name, we removed his name and replaced it and his title Elohim out of consideration for the tradition of the Jews. Tradition of the Jews to remove his name and not speak it and not let us know about it was the bigger part of that. Yet the full restoration, national, spiritual, and covenantal, points toward the approaching Yobel cycle of 2029. So it's saying that there was a restoration, there was awakening starting to happen in 2009, and even it was before that, because it was 2,730 years, I believe, from the beginning of those tribes leaving, because some of them left earlier than 722. So it says the Yobel cycle of 2029 is the year of return and reunion. Wow. That's a pretty cool title for a name.
Darla, when did you start your awakening? What year?
I think it was 2009. It was 2009. That's when I was like, I don't know about keeping Christmas. I don't know about keeping Easter. Like those I started, probably a few years before I started moving away from Christmas. We moved from a live tree to something smaller, and then it went to a metal ring of a tree with lights on it, and then it was like, now this is going. So 2009 was the end. It was the last. There was no Easter in 2009. There was no Christmas in 2009 for me. And I left the church and started studying under a Messianic Hebrew prophet.
Well, my awakening, actually, it was the YaHuWaH that did it. He started putting stuff in my heart and drawing me to learn the biblical feast days because my church didn't do it. And I had a friend who took me to a Messianic fellowship congregation. And that might have been around the middle 90s, like 94, 95, 96.
Yeah,
somewhere.
that's what I've heard is 95. I've heard about 95 from people before.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so I went there and I heard them singing songs that were messianic. They weren't Christian, you
hmm
know,
hmm
because there's a difference between messianic music and Christian music.
Yeah.
Totally. And I had not heard that before. And then I kept going back and I started meeting people. And then I got into a Hebraic um, study group
hmm
that was run by a Jew that was restored messianic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. That is a very important teacher to have for sure. I think that's very important. I still have scriptures that have been just implanted in my heart, and I've shared with the people in this ministry. Things like Isaiah 8:14, that he will be a stone of stumbling and a rock that makes a fence for both houses, right? Um, Revelations 12:17, 14, 12, and 22:14 about the people that are the overcomers, or those that are both have the testimony of Yeshua and keep the commandments of YaHuWaH. Just some really
That, that's
great,
where I learned the tribes
yeah,
and that you're not, you know, you're not Lutheran, you're not Baptist, you're not,
exactly, yeah,
Adventist, you're not, you think it's an identity
Mm.
crisis. And
identity crisis, big,
yeah,
big,
you go through that and you learn that you're an Israelite, a Hebrew Israelite from the tribe of whatever.
yeah.
Uh, yeah.
And he started showing me his calendar too. He started showing me the moon and saying, "What do you think that's up there for?"
Oh, yeah. You
Yeah,
started showing me the calendar, but boy, was that a hot potato, and it still is today.
yeah. So Sh'MiYNiY ATzaReT stands as a prophetic marker of that completion, the return, the reunion. When the dispersion ends, the curse is lifted, and the bride of YaHuWaH stands renewed. It is a day representing the final ingathering beyond the harvest of Sukkot, when all who belong to YaHuWaH are gathered to dwell with him forever. Thankful my computer is going to let me go up a page. The joy, the Simcha beyond Sukkot. Sukkot celebrates the harvest, the fullness of Simcha, joy in the reign of Mashiach. But Sh'MiYNiY ATzaReT goes beyond rejoicing in Birakot. What do we call this now, Bonnie?
Empowerment,
Empowerments, endowments,
strengthening.
a
Yeah.
reservoir. You got a
Mm.
reservoir of endowments.
It's
It
so speaks so much more. So much more.
so much more now, right, Bonnie?
Yeah. Yeah.
Beyond rejoicing in all the empowerments, it rejoices in YaHuWaH himself. There is no sukkah commanded, no lulav to weave, only dwelling in his presence. It is a day of pure communion, symbolizing the eternal relationship between YaHuWaH and his people. The joy of Sh'MiYNiY ATzaReT is the joy of the bride, who remains when the feast has ended. The
Ah.
joy of being gathered. Yeah,
Oh.
honeymoon talk.
Yeah.
Remains when the feast is ended, the joy of being gathered, restored, and forever united with her beloved. I just said honeymoon talk, but what I think about a lot is like when my adult children come to visit,
Mm.
it makes me sad to talk about it. But when they
Oh.
leave, you cry.
Mm.
It's sad when your children leave.
It is.
So I see it as a parent.
Yeah.
So to hear the father say, "Stay one more day."
Yeah, you can relate to that when you
Yeah,
get sad because your children are going. Yeah.
exactly. Couldn't you stay one
And
more day?
just stay with me one more day. Yeah.
Yeah, in fact, like even when Bonnie and has talked about coming to visit, I'm like, a week is not long enough, right? That's what we say. A week's not long enough. 2 of your days are travel
Yeah. Yeah.
from Australia at least. As we pause on this 8th day, may our hearts hear the sovereign's gentle words. Stay with me a little longer. Stay with me one more day. The world turns back to its routines after the feast, but those who belong to YaHuWaH linger, resting in his favor, abiding in his presence, and anticipating the eternal dwelling to come. And, swimming in that reservoir of Barakot, endowment, empowerment. May the Sh'MiYNiY ATzaReT remind us that the story of redemption is nearing its completion. We're getting to the end of this Bible story, this bedtime story, right? It's coming to the end. The curse is ending, the inheritance is being restored, and the great Yobel of release is drawing near. And it's a rehearsal. Let our hearts rejoice in belief, walk in trustworthy expectation, and delight in the everlasting embrace of YaHuWaH, our Elohim. The end.
Well done.
Yeah, that was very sweet and lovely.
Mm. Yeah, but it's the idea that, just stay longer. Yeah, and the idea
Yeah.
of real hospitality.
Exactly.
The world's calling, I was jokingly saying to everyone, look, I can hear my kitchen sink calling me. I didn't have to do a single dish while I was there for 3 days. It
Right.
was so lovely because that's pretty much my main job at the moment here. And it was like, yeah. And leftovers for the last feast for lunch on Sh'MiYNiY ATzaReT looked greater than pretty much every other meal. Because you know what
Wow.
it's like. We've got to put this out. And it's like
Right.
this overwhelming
Yeah. Save
feast.
the best for last, right? Save the best for last.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you can get to a Sukkot gathering, physically get to a gathering of like-minded people, it is just special.
And we have a year to plan for one.
Mm. Yeah, and look, I just looked up because I said my goal is to come back with at least one family member next year, my husband or whoever or someone.
Yeah.
But we've already got the Jewish understanding of the calendar, so we can look ahead and we can go, okay, look, it'll roughly start 1st of October next year, give
Yeah.
or take when the year starts. So you can already book your holidays for next year if you want to, and then just move it.
Yeah. And I've heard before that this is where we in the United States where the original Thanksgiving idea came from, is that they were gathering for Sukkot.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We know how much our families love Thanksgiving.
So, and we don't do that here.
Yeah.
But I just keep saying to anyone that sort of is asking me about, the things I'm looking at now and why did I go away? So, well, this is what Christmas should be. Forget Christmas. This is what it should be.
Yeah. Yeah. And the time of the year it should be.
Mm.
Yeah. YaHuWaH with us, Elohim with us, El with
Mm.
us, Emmanuel.
Tabernacling with us. He came to tabernacle with us
Yeah.
in flesh.
Yeah.
He'll come again. And for now, we rehearse. We rehearse what will be later. I want to know now. I want to do it now. Forget all this other stuff that's been
Yeah.
served up to us for whatever reasons. I want to do the real stuff now.
The real
Don't give
stuff,
me
right?
fake stuff. I want real stuff now.
Yeah.
I don't have to learn about it when time ends and this is a new thing. No, I'll have it now, thanks.
Yeah. Right. And then Gail mentioned identity crisis, which of course we love. Jim
I did
Staley's
too.
video, Identity Crisis.
This last 3 days, I did too to a few people. I said, look, if you've got new people that are trying to work out what you're doing. One girl was saying, somebody said to me, oh, you're Jewish then. She goes, no, just getting people to understand, I said that
Yeah.
look at Jim Staley's video, Identity Crisis. It is life-changing.
Right. Yeah. It is. It is life-changing. What was I going to say?
I'll pull up a banner for it so we can have it on the video here.
Yeah. And I think that is a just such a huge knowledge that people need, is that Jacob had 12 sons, and then besides Jacob, there was, before Jacob, there was his father Isaac and Isaac's brother Ishmael. Ishmael had 12 sons, from what I understand. And those people are still on their descendants are still on the earth. And a lot of the problems that we see regionally are because of those descendants. Those, you've heard the term fighting cousins or fighting the McCoys or whatever, and kissing cousins and all that. They are family. There is a lot of family involved. Just like that rabbi I was talking about that was honoring this mayoral candidate in New York. He's like, his grandmother, his maternal grandmother is Jewish. It matters. It does matter. And there are 12 of these boys of Jacob.
How many of you can pinpoint a...
Yeah, and we can actually play sound in here on that channel because it's actually our channel, but we can play the video because we've been given permission to do so. But yeah, he's
yeah. We can play just the very beginning of it if you like. Look, it's on our channel, but you can find it if you just put in Identity Crisis Jim Staley, Staley. There it is. There. Jim Staley.
And look, we've only had 560 views on our channel for this video. If you haven't seen this video, you need to see this video. This is like 101.
Anyway, well, I'll put the first bit on.
Sure.
Yeah.
I think that's great.
Bonnie, I went to two.
How many of you can pinpoint a moment?
Sorry, Gail?
Conferences. I went to two of his conferences in St. Louis before he went to jail.
I would love to go to any of the things that are in the US.
He did a really nice conference and a lot of great speakers that came in for 2 years in a row. I mean, and it was very nice. Very, very, very nice. He did a great job.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's not afraid of talking about that he actually went to jail. It was for something that he should have seen coming, but it wasn't his doing, we'll say. But he did a lot of ministry when he was in there too.
Yeah, and obviously there are people that went to jail that were in the scriptures as well, right? Paul went to jail. Peter went to jail, I think.
Yeah, he went
Joseph
for 5 years, but nobody held it against him.
Yeah, and even though he's in ministry now, and he is still serving YaHuWaH, and I'm sure he was serving him where he was. I even got a letter from him and sent some material to him as well while he was there, and I think he was working on a book while he was there.
How many of you can pinpoint a moment, a defining moment, where something happened that radically changed your life? For some of you, this message is that moment. As Christians, we've always been told that our faith starts in the New Testament, and so our entire lives have been fashioned from that idea. But what if new evidence has come forth that shows how a major prophetic event in the Old Testament reveals the real roots of our faith? And the revelation of this event changes everything. Originally, the kingdom of Israel was 12 tribes and one kingdom. But under King Solomon, because of Israel's disobedience to God's law, they were split into 2 kingdoms. The house of Israel in the north with 10 tribes, and the house of Judah in the south with 2 tribes. Then in 586 BC, the southern kingdom of Judah goes into captivity into Babylon for 70 years. They come back and resettle Jerusalem, which is the only reason why the Jewish people exist today, because their ancestors came back. The northern kingdom continually broke the law of God, and they too were taken into captivity into Assyria. From here, just as the Bible foretold, they assimilated into the nations, would lose their identity as the northern house of Israel. They would be pushed into all four corners of the then known world, which would eventually be the four corners of the earth today. The Asherites, the Reubenites, the Danites, all the other tribes, where are they? They don't exist today because they never came back. God said that at the end of time, the lost tribes would be found amongst the Gentiles and their identity would be revealed. This is the mystery that Paul talks about that is finally being discovered in these last days and is by far the most important prophecy that has ever been told. Jeremiah 31:31 says, "Behold, the days are coming, says the Lord, when I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and the house of Judah." Ladies and gentlemen, there is no house of Gentiles in this passage or anywhere in the Bible for that matter. And since there is no slave or free and no Jew or Gentile in Christ, and it's not about bloodline anyway, then how do the Gentiles fit into the new covenant? All of the analogies of the New Testament, the bride, the grafting into the olive tree in Romans 11, the one new man of Ephesians 2, if we do not understand the greatest prophecy and mystery that brought us the New Testament, 3/4 of the Bible will be completely shut to our understanding. For generations and generations and generations, millions and millions of people come back.
Yeah, that's just the intro. It goes for 3 hours.
Lovely. Yeah.
And it's a matter of just, yeah.
Yeah, just watch it. It is so powerful, and I think
If they'll sit through it. I usually just give them the link to it, go watch that, and then come talk to me.
Yeah.
And the other thing, that beautiful thing that Jim Staley says is doing Bible things in Bible ways.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah.
Darla,
Yeah, Gail.
can you put a link into Discord on the article that you read?
Yes, I did. It's there. It's already there.
Just today?
Yep, I did today. Exactly. It's
Okay.
today.
All right.
Yeah.
It's in water cooler. Yeah.
Yeah. So that those that couldn't be with us today, if they wanted to, they could go and review it. I know Bonnie reviews stuff. Even after she looked at it here. But,
Yeah, I had a quick look at it and I'm thinking, oh yeah, we're probably going to talk about this.
yeah, and I'm going to put this video up on YouTube, so I can also put a link there in the description so people can come and see it. And yeah, it's a rehearsal. You has called us to several rehearsals a year, and they're all in Leviticus 23. And yeah, we're anticipating YaHuWaH's restoration of all things.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Mm.
All right. I think I'll stop our recording here and say Shabbat Shalom to y'all. And we'll see you on our next video. Let's see. Where is my stop? Here we go. Stop.